This is CBC Here and Now.
I think this is going to be a nasty one.
One thing we got worried about here is sea surge. We get lots of sea surge around here.
Be careful if you're using any kind of secondary heating like propane heaters, kerosene heaters and lamps.
What really worries me is where we could see washouts on the Trans-Canada Highway.
A potentially historic storm pummels the southwest coast.
Tonight, we're on the ground in Port aux Basques.
I'm Peter Cowan, live at the fire hall where officials here are getting ready for things to get a whole lot worse.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, the mayor of Port aux Basques says he's never seen a forecast like this one before.
Stock up on supplies and stay home. That's the message for residents on the southwest coast of the island.
Record-breaking rainfalls are expected along with strong winds. Ashley.
Yeah, Carolyn, things are really starting to ramp up out there across most of the southwest. In fact, already through parts of Nova Scotia, seeing hundreds of millimeters of rain, and that is exactly what we're expecting for the southwestern portion of the island as we head through the evening hours tonight and even into tomorrow. Now, rainfall amounts already showing about 29 millimeters at the Environment Canada station, but La Lima showing about 26.7 millimeters of rain so far falling. And just to put that into perspective, the record is about 111 millimeters, and that record is from July of 1979, and that is a one-day total. So with forecasted amounts upwards of 200, even 400 millimeters, we could certainly see some record breakers for sure. Now, as far as those winds go, topped out so far at the Rec House area about 133 kilometers per hour. Those winds gusty, as you can see with Peter there, gusting upwards, sustained right now about 60 kilometers per hour, but those gusts showing about 90 kilometers per hour. Now, this is going to continue through the night tonight along with that rain. We have some freezing rain warnings as well, but let's go to Peter Cowan, who's standing by live at the fire hall in Port aux Basques.
Ashley, going around town today, for many people it almost seemed like a normal day. You know, people here in Port aux Basques pride themselves in the fact that they're used to dealing with storms. The issue is this is not just an ordinary storm. So today people were out and about, they were checking their property, they were tying things down, they were making sure they were ready for the worst to come. I met up with one guy who was just kind of taking it all in stride.
We're used to this kind of stuff around here. We usually get a lot of storms this time of year, right? But this is only small stuff compared to stuff I've been seeing years gone by, right?
So they're saying it's going to be the rain, though, that's the big one. How worried are you about, 150 or 200 millimeters of rain coming down?
Oh, that's a lot of rain. We ain't seen that here before, and that I know of, right? But wind, we're used to the wind, but the rain, they're asking, but the rain, I don't say we're not used to that stuff, right? 150 kilometers or 150 millimeters.
And so did you do anything to prepare?
Oh yes, yeah, I got all my stuff tied down, garbage boxes and chairs and everything else. But like I say, it's quite a lot of wind.
And are there areas that you're worried about in terms of drainage, like where the water might build up?
Not in town, because I mean we're alongside the water. Usually everything builds up here, it goes on overboard, right? It's not inland, not like a valley, eh? But what comes down here usually goes on overboard. One thing we got worried about here is sea surge.
Well, it's not just individuals who were busy getting ready. The town of Port aux Basques was busy as well. So here where I'm at, and we found a little bit of a wind and a rain break in order to go live tonight, is the fire hall. And they're preparing in case the power goes out, people get flooded, because this is going to be one of the warming centers. They have the ability to hook up a generator here. They have a full kitchen. They're able to basically take care of people for a couple of days if they need be. They're really hoping that all this preparation is for naught. But, one of the messages here from the firefighters and from other officials has been people need to take this seriously. It's not just another storm.
We've been seeing a lot of wind in Port aux Basques. It's nothing strange for us, and rain, but based on what the Environment Canada is saying, it's going to be a nasty one. And I don't know what to really expect, but I can say it could be lots of flooding, there could be washouts of roads and that, and the town is working on keeping their infrastructure clear, the catch basins and so on. I think this is going to be a nasty one.
The other big impacts that we're seeing here, of course, is the ferry service. This is the gateway to Newfoundland, and the ferries are all tied up tonight because of the high winds, the high seas. That, of course, means that tractor trailers are backing up. Already Marine Atlantic says about 80 trucks are stuck on the Nova Scotia side, can't get over. But it's expected to be several days before they're able to get things moving again.
Biggest impact this time of year is with our commercial customers. In North Sydney right now, we've got approximately 80 commercial trucks that are waiting to make the crossing. We expect that that's going to increase throughout today and tomorrow. In Port aux Basques right now, there's not a lot of commercial traffic simply because the Trans-Canada Highway, there's warnings for transport trucks not to move through the wreck house area.
So what is it that the mayor is most worried about? It's not necessarily even his town. It's the fact that the Trans-Canada Highway, with all this water coming down over the mountains, it has to have somewhere to go. And it goes into the rivers, it goes into the streams, and it hopefully goes under the culverts, not through them. We'll hear from him and my interview about how his town is preparing coming up a little later in the show.
All right, thank you very much. That's Peter Cowan reporting live from Port aux Basques. Of course, Ashley will have her own meteorological expertise to bring this story a bit later on Here and Now, so stay tuned for that. But shifting to COVID-19 news now, vaccines for children 5 years of age and older will be available as early as Saturday. Here and Now's Mark Quinn was at today's briefing about this. So Mark, what can you tell us?
When the health officials say there are about 35,000 children in the 5 to 11 age group in this province, and the first shipment of vaccines for them are expected to arrive in the next 48 hours. Now, there are two ways this new group can get vaccinated. The first way is at mass clinics that are expected to begin as early as Saturday, and parents must book appointments for those shots at those clinics, and they can do so online through the provincial government's COVID-19 website. The second way to get vaccinated will be at schools, and parents will get more information from schools about this and how to give consent in the coming days. And those vaccinations are expected to begin next week. Now, Dr. Janice Fitzgerald was clearly pleased to be making this announcement, and she described this as the last hurdle in the marathon fight against COVID-19.
For us, this is in public health. This is sort of that last large group that we're going to have to vaccinate, where we're seeing, those children have to congregate, they have to come together, they have to go to school. And so I think this is, it really is, sort of helps us see that light at the end of the tunnel. Although I've said that before, and the tunnel feels like it has crashed down sometimes. So I don't know, I say it with caution and knocking on wood, but it really does feel like this is that last hurdle we have to get past.
You can really see that Dr. Fitzgerald feels a bit lighter there, and she's got a lighter tone there. But health officials today were also joined by pediatric infectious disease specialist Dr. Natalie Bridger today, and she talked about the safety of vaccines for children 5 to 11.
In my career as a pediatric infectious diseases specialist, I've seen firsthand the benefits of childhood vaccines. In Newfoundland and Labrador, we no longer have to worry about our children becoming paralyzed by polio. We almost never see cases of measles. We don't see babies being born blind from congenital rubella anymore. This is all because of vaccines. And I'm delighted that we can now add COVID-19 to our list of vaccine preventable diseases. The direct and indirect effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on our children are unparalleled. And while many parents and caregivers are excited about this latest development, I understand some may have some reservations, particularly around vaccine safety. I am confident that these vaccines are safe, effective, and high quality.
Now, today's news means that now more people in the province are eligible for vaccines, and Dr. Fitzgerald says that if we can get the rate of vaccination in this new group up to 90%, pandemic restrictions will likely start lifting. Now, this could take some time. Children have to wait 8 weeks between their first and second shots, so it could be early next year before 90% of children 5 to 11 years old are fully vaccinated. And here's Dr. Fitzgerald again.
Certainly what we know right now and what we're seeing elsewhere in the country, there's quite a lot of spread in this group of children who are unvaccinated. So having them vaccinated, having them have protection against infection and severe disease is very important, and I think it will certainly make a difference for our pandemic restrictions. I think, certainly it can help schools to get back to normal. If we have a successful campaign in this age group, if we can have the same types of results that we've had so far for those over 12, it will go very far to making sure that we're getting the majority of our population protected. And then for those kids under the age of 5, that will give a really great cocoon around them to help protect them until we can get vaccines for that age group as well.
So to recap, vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds are expected to arrive here in the province in the next couple of days. Children in this age group can get vaccinated in 2 ways at mass clinics that should begin on Saturday. And of course, you'll have to book appointments for those online. Or the second way that these children can get vaccinated is to wait until the vaccines are offered in schools. And parents should get emails about how that will work in the coming days. As for daily case numbers, we're expecting an update on those tomorrow. Live for Here and Now, I'm Mark Quinn in St. John's.
Well, just 10 days after the COP26 climate change conference in Glasgow ended, Premier Andrew Furey has announced over $35 million in funding for projects connected to the offshore industry. Now, the money comes from the $320 million oil and gas recovery fund announced by the federal and provincial governments last year. The funding announced today will support 26 projects in the province and upwards of 230 jobs. Now, some of the companies selected are Pangeo Subsea, Secor, and Kraken Robotics. Funding will also go towards the creation of a subsea center at the Marine Institute. Furey once again talked about the global need for fossil fuels during the transition to renewable energy.
We know it's not going to be valuable forever, so we need to capitalize on it now. We want to be here to support the industry to ensure that they can capitalize on that opportunity, and that's what we've done. A transition can't just happen overnight. As I said to people, to one person in particular in COP, how are you getting home? All the planes in the world are still powered by a petroleum product. We need to make sure that we are using our product, which I believe, the industry believes, is a lower carbon footprint product.
Well, to the fishery now. Imagine having your annual income grow by 40 to 50%. Well, for many seafood harvesters in this province, that's exactly what happened this year. And as Terry Roberts reports, it's all thanks to those bottom-dwelling shellfish.
This is the big prize, snow crab. They're not pretty, but they're the #1 reason why the fishery is shattering records this year.
But this year, directly into the pockets of fish harvesters in this province has been over $1 billion.
For the first time, the value of seafood landed at ports in this province has surpassed $1 billion, injecting some much-needed enthusiasm and financial flexibility into hundreds of coastal communities.
Harvesters are certainly pleased. They're able to reinvest in their vessels and gear and certainly get ahead.
Fishermen can hardly contain a smile when asked about their good fortune.
I'm pleased.
I've been at it over 40 years and it's by far the best season we ever had. Catch rates were good, prices were excellent.
In a curious twist, the pandemic is partly responsible for this shellfish bonanza. Last year, at the height of the pandemic, the all-important seafood buffet practically disappeared from hotels and restaurants. So pre-cooked and frozen crab and lobster started turning up in grocery stores, and consumers responded in a big way. Well, now this year, the restaurant business has also bounced back,
setting the stage for a market like never before, with harvesters being paid $7.60 for a pound of crab, double last year's price, meaning a lot of extra cash in the pockets of harvesters and spending that benefits the entire economy.
I don't hear so much grumbling now as we did other years because people, they've been doing good.
I see some of my people now getting new vehicles and doing stuff to their house and they're spending money because they got a few extra dollars to spend this year. Like, It's unreal, and it's nice to be able to see them, not only me, them be able to afford to be able to do a few different things that they couldn't do in the past.
It's a similar story in Triton's shipyard. Boat owners are investing into their enterprises, in this case a new and expensive stabilization system.
It's the most amount of money that we've spent on the vessel since we got her. Like this year we'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the boat, which we could never do before.
The lobster harvest is also off the charts.
So people who've struggled for a number of years now and not done really well, we're talking along the south and the west coast, they're making certainly good money and are really able to draw young people into this industry. There's more interest in that fishery now than there ever has been.
Industry leaders are now calling this a rural mega project. More proof, they say, of this industry's vital importance to Newfoundland and Labrador's economy. And they say the ingredients are there for a string of good years. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, shifting to sports and getting dizzy following the puck. First they're in, then they're out, and now they're heading back to St. John's. Today, St. John's Sports Entertainment and the Newfoundland Growlers announced that the ECHL team will be back on home ice. Today's announcement comes after months of back and forth between the group that runs the Mary Brown Centre and the Growlers' ownership. The city had booted the Growlers out of the arena following allegations of workplace harassment. Well, today, both sides say that the investigation into those claims continues, but that neither players or coaches of the Growlers are involved. Neither side is commenting on the return to the former Mile 1 Stadium. The Growlers' next home game is scheduled for December the 1st.
Connor and Newhook there. O'Connor's going to take a shot, and there's Newhook.
Big night for Alex Newhook. The Colorado Avalanche center scored the game winner last night with that nifty little kick to the stick. That goal against Ottawa. Why the Senators? Had to be somebody, I guess. His second goal of the season, but he's not the only St. John's star.
Yes, his younger sister Abby was named Hockey East's Rookie of the Week for the third time this season while playing for Boston College. Abby is leading the team this year with 13 points, 8 goals, and 5 assists.
Well, not only do we have lots of rain on the way over the next 36 hours, there's some freezing rain and snow in the forecast for parts of Labrador. I'll get into those details when I come back.
Well, a 4,000-kilometer voyage from Long Pond to Iqaluit to Corner Brook.
Journey the Cat hopped a boat and embarked on quite the journey of its own. That story after Ashley's weather.
Time for a look at the weather, which is the newsmaker for sure today. Big storm on the southwest coast of the island. We saw Peter Cowan earlier in the show. It looked pretty bad out there. How deep are we into the storm now?
Well, really, in the grand scheme of things, we're kind of just getting started, certainly for the southwest this afternoon. And then I think it started raining about 9 a.m. this morning. And then things are going to continue to get worse as we head through the night tonight. Let's take a look at those current temperatures across the board. It's fairly mild, 8-9 degrees for the southwest, and those temperatures for Labrador as well, even southeastern Labrador up in the single digits. And those temperatures are going to climb as we head through the night tonight, as we start to see some of this rain head your way as well. It's not only are we going to see that heavy rain for southwestern Newfoundland, there are parts of the Labrador Strait, along the strait, that we're going to see some significant rainfall as well. So zooming in a little bit, we can start to see that rain is just edging in now. The heaviest rain still offshore, just to the south. I think last time I checked, it was raining about 7 millimeters. The rainfall rates were about 7 millimeters an hour, and they're going to continue to increase as we head through the night tonight. Just want to zoom out a little bit just to kind of show you. So this is what's happening over Nova Scotia. It's hard to see, but Nova Scotia's right there. And we're seeing that stationary front, which you saw, and you can really see it on the radar. There it is right there. And that's what we're going to see for most of the southwest as we head through the evening hours tonight, just pummeling all of that rain from the subtropical areas to the southwest. So as far as that rainfall amount goes, I'll just step off the screen here just to show you, kept the amounts 200 plus. Now there are some areas, especially in those higher elevations, where the models are showing 200 to 400 millimeters of rain. The thing is we're not really going to know exactly how much rain fell in those areas because we don't have any places there to measure the rain. It's what's going to happen when it comes down closer to the surface. So a good indication anywhere from 100 to 200 millimeters for a good portion of the southwest. And then we do have those rainfall warnings even up through from Bay de St. George and Corner Brook area, but it will be isolated. Mainly in the higher elevations, we're going to see that rain. But you could see 50 to 70 millimeters. Higher elevations could see closer to 90. And then just going up towards the strait there, you can see that white there. So the 100 to 200 millimeters is certainly possible. Again, the highest will be in the highest elevations from pretty much Lands Alou to Red Bay. So that's what's going on as far as that goes. There's those rainfall warnings. And then the other thing, Cartwright's in that as well. Then we've got the freezing rain warning. I'll get into that in a little bit because that's through the day tomorrow, but the winds with this one are going to stay strong as well. So wreck house wind warning likely going to peak tonight, and then winds will be strong all along the west coast, including through to Burgeo tonight. We'll just time that out a little bit. Like I said, the peak should be tonight for the winds for you in the wreck house area or in and around the wreck house area. Those wind gusts could exceed 100 to 140 kilometers per hour, still looking likely in those areas that are prone to southeasterlies, but you can see those gusts pretty high there through the night tonight. And even most of eastern areas of the island as well, seeing gusts 60, even 70 kilometers per hour, not out of the question at times. As we get into Wednesday morning, and then as we head through Wednesday afternoon, the winds are going to start to shift. They'll start shift a little bit more easterly, and then we should see those gusts come down quite a bit through the afternoon and evening hours on Wednesday. Now, as far as the future tracker shows, we do have that stationary front, but on the other side of that, we have some cold air. And at this moment, it looks like central Newfoundland, central Labrador rather, is straddling that rain-snow line. So anything to the west of that will likely fall as snow tonight. And then as we head through the afternoon on, or into the morning hours rather, on Wednesday, we're going to start to talk about that changing back over to rain for Labrador. But most of the west coast tonight will see the rainfall rates could be as high as 15 to 20 millimeters. So this is really when we'll see the strongest or the highest rainfall amounts, and then that will continue right through to Wednesday. Just want to show you snowfall rates. This is through to Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning. Could see some areas that are going to see upwards of about 10 to even 15 centimeters of snow. And that's a look at the temperatures for tonight. See, going down to about -1. Otherwise, most of the island will stay above zero, 8 to 10 degrees, a little cooler further east, but not a whole lot happening as far as that rain goes. So we'll talk about a little bit more about the forecast for tomorrow and look at the longer range when I come back.
A cat from Long Pond has returned from an unexpected and accidental 4,000-kilometer long return journey from Long Pond to Iqaluit, and now the feline is relaxing the way cats tend to do in Corner Brook. David Hewlin is a cat-finding crew member aboard an oil tanker, and we've reached him in Searsport, Maine. So David, take me back to the start of this journey. Where does it all start?
It started in Long Pond. We were doing a cargo operation in Long Pond, and we left to go finish our operation in Conception Bay with import tanker. And when we were leaving there, a crew member noticed a cat on board. So we assumed it had been from Long Pond because there are many cats on the dock there.
Okay, so do you mean the cat? You mean the cat was actually seen aboard, or the cat was leaving? I just want to see when you actually left and you knew there was a cat.
We knew there was a cat when we were in CBS.
Okay, so what'd you do?
We couldn't do much for it at that point. It was hiding. After they noticed it, they went back into its hiding spot, and that's where it stayed.
All right, so this is essentially a stowaway.
Yeah, she was a stowaway for sure.
All right, so eventually, obviously, you know there's a cat aboard. What did you do to try to apprehend this cat?
Well, first we started feeding it. We fed it on the way up to Iqaluit. We would put cans of tuna out around the ship to try to feed it and coax it out. But she was smart enough to stay away from us, and she seemed to eat at night. We put a few boxes out around, try to build shelter for her, but she wouldn't go in there. When we got to Iqaluit, we saw her again. She came back out again. We weren't sure if she was still on board because we had got into some rough weather. So when she reappeared in Iqaluit, I contacted Sonia Higgins of Healing Animal Scars in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Okay.
And she gave me some advice, and she put me in contact with Janelle Kennedy of the Iqaluit Humane Society.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to her, and she gave me some ideas, gave us some advice. She gave us a crate, some cat food, kitty litter, and catnip. So we set that up and put some juice from the cat food towards the crate.
Right.
A crew member stood up on a platform above the crate with a string and waited for the cat to go in the crate. And sure enough, it did. When she went in, he closed the crate, and we had her.
This sounds like a Bugs Bunny episode.
It does, yeah.
All right, so you managed to get Journey. Where is she now?
Journey is now in Corner Brook at the Newfoundland West SPCA.
Okay, now I should mention that Journey is the name you guys and gals gave her because of the journey this cat was on. So how did Journey get to Corner Brook?
She sailed back with us. We dropped her off in St. Barb.
Okay, well, it's a pretty well-traveled cat.
It is, yeah.
Any chance that when Journey got on board your vessel that the cat actually was hoping to head south and not north to Iqaluit, where I think it was a lot colder?
Yeah, it was a bit warmer in Long Pond when we left. It's been -20, -33 with the wind chill in Iqaluit when we left here.
So listen, I'm glad you could share the story of this remarkable cat adventure, but one serious point, are there lots of strays near Long Pond? Because obviously you had a couple cats in the area. Is this an issue?
Yeah, there's probably, there was around eight cats hanging out at the dock. We had one come on board and we got her off. And there's normally a lot of cats around there. Luckily, the dock workers feed them, but they have no shelter.
Okay.
So
it's
a bit of a problem.
All right. Well, at least you managed to take care of this one cat, and maybe we'll follow up and find out about the stray cats near the docks in Long Pond. Listen, David, thank you for your good work, and all the best.
Thank you.
Port-aux-Basques is used to dealing with wind and rain, so why is the mayor here so nervous? I'll talk to him coming up.
Returning now to our top story, the developing storm on the southwest coast of the island. It's set to break rainfall records. So let's check back with Peter Cowan, who's live at the fire hall in Port-aux-Basques. So Peter, it looks like pretty high winds and heavy rain there behind you. What can you tell us about conditions now?
Carolyn, the worst is yet to come as we head into overnight and tomorrow. And really, a lot of people, the feeling here was it's another fall stormy day. But that's not the message from the mayor. In fact, right now, the mayor and council are meeting at the town hall not very far from here. This was actually originally scheduled to deal with budget-related issues, but they're now also dealing with the preparedness to get things ready for this storm. And when I talked to the mayor today, you know, he was out and around sort of chatting with people, and the struggle he found was a lot of people have really kind of been shrugging this off. And his big message has been, you know, this is an area that may be used to getting to storms, but this is no ordinary storm.
I think it's because we've seen wind and rain so many times. I mean, we've had a lot of wind and rain, but I've yet to see a forecast that says we're going to have this much rain in this short period of time, along with the high winds, and the potentials there are, you know, the perfect storm.
And what sort of things have you been able to do to try and get ready for this?
You know, we've had our crews that have been out the last couple of days cleaning out storm drainage, checking our storm sewers, any debris that we may have, especially in trouble areas, places where we might have had trouble in the past. Over the last number of years, we've done a lot of work on the infrastructure here, but it's still you know, there's always times that we do have things that are plugged up and so on and so forth. So we've tried to do our best to be out to get around and do a lot of that work, and to get our equipment ready, to make sure our equipment is functionable, reaching out to you know, fire services here in the community to make sure they're ready, our warming stations, the volunteers, those type things. We've been, you know, trying to reach out where we can, just in the event it does get you know, bad here.
How worried are you that we might see a road washout in this storm?
I'm extremely worried about it. Not so much in the community. I am worried in the community, obviously. You know, we could get possible washouts in the community, and you know, we'll try to deal with that where necessary. What really worries me is seeing the forecast. We're seeing a lot of rains projected for, say, the Port aux Basques region, but we're also looking at the highlands and the mountains and so on and so forth, where we could see washouts on the Trans-Canada Highway. That becomes worrisome, especially here. We see a lot of people that travel for medical appointments and so on and so forth, and you know, and people that are out and going about, and for services. You know, this is the gateway to the provinces. This is where the services come into the island, or our product comes into the island. Seeing any washouts there and cutting off the community and cutting off the rest of the province is worrisome.
Is there anything you can do to properly prepare, or is a lot of this just kind of in Mother Nature's hands?
Well, you got to do what you can, whether it's us as the community, as I said, looking after our infrastructure, or if it's people in general that have their own properties. They have to, you know, we've got a lot of wind projected, so people need to make sure that things are inside, tied down. If they have their own storm sewers or storm drainage systems, they got to make sure they're clear. You know, besides all the work that we can possibly do, I'm worried that with this amount of rain, I don't know what kind of systems that you would have to have that's going to handle it. We just got to hope that our systems do hold up. And if they don't hold up and we get flooding, we got to hope that they're not part of the washouts, that we don't lose our infrastructure. For people that's in the community, because we are so complacent on storms and dealing with it and saying that, oh, I've seen worse than this, I just want them to listen to, let's worry about the worst case scenario. Let's prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And if at the end of the day it turns out to be not much more than we've seen in the past, I'll love to hear them on the street say, I told you so. But if it's the other side, I hate to hear the horror stories as well.
That's Mayor Brian Button speaking with me a little earlier this afternoon. The province has also been busy getting ready for this. They've been clearing out culverts along the Trans-Canada Highway in the hopes of preventing those washouts that he was talking about there. We also did hear from the Minister of Justice and Public Safety that there are 3 helicopters available on the west coast right now to the province. So if communities do get cut off, they have some backup plans, and they have more that they can access there as well. So everyone's getting ready. The real trick is going to be seeing what this storm brings overnight and into tomorrow morning, because this is going to be a long haul. Reporting live from Port aux Basques, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Well, now back to a story that we sort of told you about last night, sort of putting the potato before the peeler as we did last night if you watched. Potato wart is giving the province of Prince Edward Island some big problems. Farmers can no longer export potatoes to the United States, so Ottawa made that call after potato wart was discovered in some Prince Edward Island fields. Now, it's a fungus that makes the vegetables unsellable, but actually pose no risk to human health. The CBC's Carrie Campbell reports.
Yesterday, these conveyors were running full tilt, packing the last trucks bound for the U.S. Today, they're silent, and 70% of this company's customer base is out of reach.
Yeah, it's almost hard to sort of comprehend what that all means. It's, you know, it's staffing issues, it's storage issues. We ship approximately 1 million plus pounds a week through this plant, and you know, you can imagine how quickly that will start to bunch up.
One of the biggest markets for island potatoes was the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. Suddenly, packers are looking for new Canadian markets for that product, but
to try and replace the existing market that we have in the United States overnight, which, by the way, took us years to build. Everybody's business plan was destroyed.
The National Potato Council in the U.S. lobbied to close the border after potato wart was found in 2 island fields last month, even though for 2 decades the disease was successfully contained without having to do that.
I think the first thing is CFIA is going to need to go in, do more expansive survey work, and figure out what the full scope of the disease profile is. And then, based on that data, take a clear-headed look at things and see what additional measures need to be put in place.
Only then, according to the U.S. Agriculture Secretary, can the border be reopened. As to how long that might take,
it's really top of mind, it's top priority for us, but it's very hard for me to give you a timeline.
Last time the border closed in 2000, producers destroyed perfectly good potatoes they couldn't sell.
We put potatoes through the snowblower behind our barn, and I don't want to think about it. I'm optimistic that the powers that be will come to a positive conclusion soon.
The PEI Potato Board says the island was shipping enough potatoes to the U.S. to feed 9 million Americans, and that's too much for the Canadian market to absorb. The border closure is expected to lead to layoffs and a big hit to the island's economy. Carrie Campbell, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Hey, it's Aoife.
Farai. And Columbus.
And we're 3 really good friends who really love to eat.
This season on Stuffed, we're trying something different. We're gonna go out and make a meal from food that we source from the environment around us.
Aoife is going cod digging.
Meanwhile, Columbus is gonna go into the woods to forage. And Farai over here is going to go pick some vegetables at the farm.
And at the end of it all, we're gonna come together and make a meal out of it.
Let's get stuffed!
Thank you for doing this, Gia. Tell us more about yourself.
Thanks so much for having me today. I'm super pumped to be here. So I actually work as a consultant now, but a lot of people know me from having had a restaurant for 11 years. It was called The Sprout, and I sold that in 2016, but cooking is still a huge part of my life. So I'm so excited to be invited to be here today, and I heard that you brought some ingredients.
So yeah, I went to Lester's farm and I got to hang out with Susan. We picked out some zucchini, kale, and fresh strawberries. So that's what I brought for you today.
Amazing.
I went foraging with the Felicity Roberts, and we went to Signal Hill and a few little spots around St. John's. So it's pretty nice. We got crowberries, yeah. So that's what we have for today.
And we got some roses. I think you should mention.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, we got roses, but they died. They died, yeah.
I went fishing with a couple called Yazzer and Zaba in, I think it's called Bolin. And yeah, we caught some cod. It was a lot of fun.
It sounds like we have some really awesome things to work with. What I'm thinking about is doing a zucchini and potato dish. I brought some of these little baby potatoes from my parents-in-law's garden, as well as some garlic. And I was thinking we would do some fried fish and a nice kale salad with the strawberries and the crowberry.
So what would you like us to do today?
So I think I'm gonna put you all to work. We're going to wash everything. We're going to cut up the zucchinis, take off the stalks of the kale, and cut it up, and then we'll cut up the pears and the strawberries too.
Okay, dibs on the strawberries.
Dibs on the zucchini.
Take whatever's left, I guess. Honestly.
Columbus, what did you wear foraging?
Cow hat, actually. It's just trying to get in like part of the wilderness, you know? Get accustomed to everything.
So you wore a cow hat?
Yeah.
So you went to Signal Hill and you dressed as a cow to fit in.
Yeah.
I went to the sea and I didn't dress like a fish, so.
Did you have to like dress up in like overalls and stuff like that?
No, I just wore normal clothing, but it was a lot of like, it was really windy and I thought I was gonna fall over at some point.
Wait, was this your first fishing experience?
Yeah, I've never gone fishing before, so it was my first time, and I thought it was gonna be harder than it was.
Yeah.
But the only thing was my arm was really sore afterwards.
How was the farm, Corey? What's up with that?
Oh, it was wonderful. I got to play on the tractor.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
Farm wonderful?
I grew up on a farm.
Really?
Yeah, my grandparents owned a farm. Hey, Jules, what you doing?
So I'm just making a vinaigrette for the salad. So I roasted a little bit of this fresh local garlic, and I added some olive oil, just adding a whole lemon. We have some smoked Newfoundland sea salt and a bunch of cracked black pepper.
I think something's burning.
Probably. So we have our fried fish on top of some roasted potatoes with zucchini. And we have our kale salad with the crowberries and strawberries. I toasted up some almonds to put on top. And there's some sliced pears, thank you. And we have a homemade vinaigrette.
It's got a very nice color to it.
The whole combination together is so good.
I like the crunch from the crowberries. I wonder who got those.
How does it feel to be eating the food that you foraged and caught?
It feels tasty. Like I did an amazing job with this fish.
When you were at Lester's, did you get to pull up did you break off the zucchinis from the plant?
Yes, I did it
Did
myself.
you?
I did.
What was that like?
It was a nice experience. I felt like a real farmer.
Did you?
Wait, are zucchinis in the ground or like?
No, they're on a tiny tree.
The crowberries, do they grow in like low bushes?
They do actually, and the bushes are like ankle high. Foraging was really exciting, and I think I can survive the wilderness. Can you guys survive in the ocean or like at a farm?
I grew up on a farm.
I don't think you'd survive in the wilderness without a guide.
I can forage all this.
Could you survive just with a fishing rod?
I think so.
I think so.
I used to be a scout. What do you mean?
Well, the rain is going to continue as we head through the day tomorrow, which will be heavy at times, certainly for the southwest. If you take a look at the future tracker through the afternoon, we will eventually start to see the rain taper off for southeastern portions of Labrador, but then we start to get on the cold side of this stationary front, and it does look like what will fall for parts of Eagle River as well as Happy Valley Goose Bay will be some freezing rain through the afternoon tomorrow. Eventually, the rain will taper off, or at least taper to showers for most of the southwest, and then a few showers still possible for most of the island. That will continue as we head into Thursday. So a couple of gray days in store as we continue to see this area of low pressure affect the weather, and we see those onshore winds. So the winds are actually going to start to turn a little bit more easterly and then continue right through Thursday. So taking a look at the freezing rain potential, the more pink we get, the higher the potential. So that's the best chance of seeing that freezing rain, and that will again start tomorrow and then continue through most of Thursday. As far as those temperatures go tomorrow, another double-digit day for most, or at least a double-digit day for most of the island, hovering around 9 degrees for St. John's. Those winds, again, are going to stay breezy out of the southeast, 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Quiet for northern Labrador as well as Lab West, but temperatures will be cool, about -8 as your daytime high for Lab City. Now, as we get into Thursday, those double-digit temperatures will continue, and again, those winds will be a little bit more onshore as far as easterlies go, and then staying gray with that chance of showers, which will change back over to rain on Thursday for most of southeastern Labrador and central Labrador, as your temperatures hover between 2 and 3 degrees. Otherwise, we're looking at flurry activity up through northern portions of Labrador, and then by Friday, again, staying on the mild side right across the board. So a mild stretch of weather for most of the island, and then staying above zero again for southeastern Labrador, Happy Valley Goose Bay, looking at another day of rain. And then we've got the rain or snow for parts of Labrador through the day on Friday. After that, as we get into Saturday and Sunday, going to stay in the double digits, and then about 8 degrees for Sunday. Might see a few peaks of sun, and then for central Newfoundland, similar forecast going down to the mid-single digits though through the day, and note that temperature drop. So we are going to start to see some of the cooler temperatures, which means the potential for a few flurries for western Newfoundland. Now for eastern Labrador, you're looking at Saturday, like I said, temperatures are going to drop, so that'll change over to flurry. Sunday looks quiet at this point, but going to continue to see that potential for some flurries for Lab West. Look at this shot. This is the sunrise yesterday morning in Traytown. Traytown, there you go. Penny shared that lovely shot with us. It must have looked stunning when you looked out the window. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Gorgeous.
Very gorgeous.
Great spot on the Eastport Peninsula. Ashley, you would love kayaking there.
Oh, I'm sure I would.
Yeah, very,
Gotta
very
get
nice.
out.
Nice spot.
Maybe not now. Next summer.
No, I think, yeah. Hold off on that for just a little bit.
Except it's 12 degrees. I mean, why not?
It's pretty mild out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the show is over, but Ashley, I'm sure you're going to be continuing working through the night tonight, watching the storm on the southwest coast, and Peter Cowan will be out there as well, covering that for us for tomorrow.
Yep, definitely.
We'll see you then.
Good night.
Good night.